Today we are doing a men's retro 80s inspired hair tutorial, and I will be doing one on a woman's haircut because I think they are a bit different, the approach, although both can be worn by any gender, it doesn't really matter. But the key to this is that I'm doing a step-by-step. So I'm going to be with you for the entire video here. It's going to be a full-on tutorial. I'll be talking the whole entire way through for the most part, and I'll probably get the occasional phone call that interrupts the entire time, which is very frustrating. But regardless, I'm going to be doing a haircut tutorial step by step. And I haven't done any of these in a while, but I want to break this down and make it a lot easier for you. I get so many requests from viewers wanting these types of haircuts, a lot of 80s inspired haircuts. I've gotten like Rambo, Patrick Swayze, George Michael, man, the list goes on and on of all different types of haircuts. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do one haircut that's going to be kind of like a combination of all of those, okay? And the key to it is we're going to have, like a light feathered bang or fringe area. The whole thing's going to be layered. The whole thing's going to be feathered. It's going to work into some length, and it's really going to be a fun haircut, So I am ready to start, so you can follow along if you want, or just sit back and enjoy. But the first thing I'm always going to do when I'm doing these haircuts is I like to just section the hair off so that I have a clear picture of where I'm going to be starting, where I'm going, and I always separate the front from the back. And that just, to me, what that does is it really paints a clear picture of where I need to focus my efforts from the start of the haircut. And it also helps me transition the haircut going from the back into the sides or the top or the front. And it's just so much easier for me, right? So what I'm going to do first is I'm going to establish my length. Now, it really depends on you and how long you want your hair. If you want to rock more of like a longer mullet type of look. For this particular haircut, we are going to leave a little bit of length, but nothing too crazy. So there's two ways that I go about doing this. Is I literally, and it depends on the thickness of the hair, but I like to just cut it all in one shot. I pick my area of where I'm going to cut. I'll use my comb as kind of like a ruler, and then I will cut straight across. Now I'm trying to do this so you all can see. That's the only challenge of cutting hair while trying to record it, is I'm always getting some sort of elbow or something in the way. But what I'm doing is creating a straight line throughout the bottom here. Notice I'm using the comb. I'm not using my hands. Do you need to use your hands, or can you? I mean, if you want, doesn't matter. It just makes life so much easier. And I've noticed in my experience that cutting with the comb like this helps me create a much straighter line. So there it is. Now what I want to do is I want to create my shape and my angle, right? This is the perimeter. This is the outline of the entire haircut. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use my fingers. My fingers are going to be really the most important part of this haircut, of how I angle my fingers. So now I'm cutting down this way, but my fingers are pointed up, which is going to give me the best angle of attack here. And now, again, it all depends on you of how short you want to go with this, but I'm literally creating a simple angle, as you can see, working my way, going from all the way in the bottom here, which is the longest point, up to the shortest point, which will be right through here. This really is a matter of taste and really the style that you want, of how short you want to cut this. I did mention we are going to create a little bit of a fringe, so let's do that right here. I'm going to show you why we're doing that. All right, so I'm going to start right in through the front here. That's going to be, let's see, let's go a little bit longer, but this is going to be where we're going to start, and I'm going to cut this working downwards on an angle. And the good thing is that since we already cut this piece here, right in the front, all we have to do is now just connect the pieces. So either way, if you're starting from the bottom, right, working your way upwards. If you're starting from the bottom, working your way upwards, or starting from the top, coming down this way, you've got a good place to start, right? You have to have it all match and balance, right? It's got to work into each other and blend into each other. That's really the key point of this whole thing, is that everything has to have a good solid flow. So here we are again in the corner. Now, as you can see, my hands are pointed downwards towards the floor, and I'm cutting upwards. And the reason I'm doing that is simply because this is keeping my body position parallel to where I'm cutting, right? The minute you start to put your body in a very awkward or different position, or you want to come over the top this way, it's just going to be so uncomfortable, and it's pointless to me. You know, I know a lot of people cut like that, but to me, it doesn't make any sense, because it's just going to end up hurting you and causing you to be uncomfortable. So now I'm just extending that piece right in the front. And now we're going to work this way again. There's the connection point right there. And really, while you're watching this, you see it's all about the connection point, right? Where is it connecting? Where do we have to keep it flowing? You know, how are we going to make everything work seamlessly together? Now we start doing the cross-checking. You know, we start to look and see. Again, this is just the foundation of the haircut. This is just a foundation. And I learned many, many years ago that you can't have a good haircut without a solid foundation, which really essentially is the length, right? All this is right now is the length of the haircut. That's what this is. The entire length of the haircut throughout this area, all right? So now what I want to do is we're going to start the layering process. And this really is the part where all the magic happens. So keep in mind, right, we have to take this into consideration here. We've got the fringe or the bang area coming down to here, which means we have to create everything to match right in this vicinity. So if we leave the layers too long, first of all, it's not going to have that 80s kind of retro look. So we got to go fairly short with these layers, right? Fairly short with these layers. So let's cut this up here, and I'm going to cut all this hair off. All right, so this is my guide right in through here. Let's just do one little more comb up this way. This is my guide right there, so you all can see. That's it. This piece. So what I'm going to do now is this is going to be the starting point of the entire haircut. And where do we go from here? I know it's scary. It's like, wait, I just cut this all off. Now what do I do? Well, here is where we start the layering process. So what I'm going to do is I'm now going to comb this all straight out from the head, and I'm literally going to follow the head shape. All right, and I know I'm wearing a black shirt. I know it, but I'll try to stand out of the way as much as possible. But what I'm looking to do right here is, remember, we're trying to create that feathered look that works into the length. All right, we don't want to start cutting off too much hair, because we're going to lose all that length in through here, and that's the whole point of the kind of the retro haircut, is to maintain all that length. So just be very, very careful, and that's where the body position and the finger positioning, all of that comes into place. So I like to just push some of the hair out of the way so you have a clean section, and I'm working only till about right behind the ear. All right, that's as far as I'm going, right behind the ear, because I don't want to go that far out, because technically that's the sides, and right now we're just working on the back. So literally all I'm doing is I'm pulling the hair straight out from the head. As we are getting closer to the bottom, right, what I am doing is I am lifting a little bit and elevating a little bit, because I want to preserve some of that length. So as you can see, just by a slight rotation, that's how you're getting the hair to go shorter to longer, right? By combing it and rotating upwards. So I'm rotating my fingers. It's really the best way, in my opinion, to keep, you know, not only a connection going on with the haircut, but also to preserve that length, because we're going shorter into longer. So now we're at the very, very bottom, and here is where we can just cut straight up this way. Because what have we done before? When we cut the length, what that did was that actually gave us that foundation, like I mentioned before. So now all we're doing right now is just going in and getting rid of the weight that's on top of that foundation, right? It's getting rid of all those extra areas that aren't necessarily needed to be put on that base right into the bottom here. And that's really, really important, because if you don't if you don't go in there and follow that pattern, right, and you don't keep it simple, and if you start cutting into the bottom too much, like cutting off the length, well, guess what? Now you're ruining the foundation of the haircut. So you're not going to have what you need. And that's, to me, most important, is you want that base to look very, very solid. Anytime you start making the hair on the ends look very, I would say, like wispy or thin, it just does not look right. It actually changes the integrity of the hair. It makes it look thin and wispy and not good. So that's why you have to be careful that when you're cutting only what needs to be cut. What I'm doing is I'm cutting on top of that foundation. I'm not cutting the foundation, however. All right, so again, I'm in a position right here just to be able to pull the hands outwards. I'm cutting palm to palm. I am, you know, this isn't the most comfortable, but it's not uncomfortable as far as body position. This is the best I can get right now for body position, you know, or what it comes down to with cutting is you really want to make sure that you are making the job easier for you, right? For your own body, you know, think long term. Like I mentioned, I've seen so many stylists over the years put themselves in awkward positions, and I'm like, what's next, a handstand? You know, so you got to make sure that you're just like, you're keeping all of that integrity and you're staying strong while cutting. All right, so the bottom and the back is done. I'm just going to go back in here, cross check. Don't be afraid to go back to comb and cut, right? It's like you're going in and moving, stick and move, right? So I'm going in, looking for any sort of hair that's out of place that needs to be cut that's a little bit longer, and I'm cutting it. Then I'm moving on to the next part, right? I'm looking, cutting. So, you know, the key is that you only want to make sure that you're cutting what needs to not be there. The biggest mistake I've seen people make is, in my career, is that like people start cutting hair that's supposed to be there, right? Yeah, you get a little scissor happy, and you start chopping off stuff that you really aren't supposed to be chopping off, and that's where it becomes an issue. So this is a great way to go back in and just really check, right? You can even put the scissors down and really just pull the hair out from the head, and the hair will not lie, right? It's like Shakira, the hips don't lie, the hair don't lie, all right? The hair will basically jump out and say, yo, dude, you're way off, man. You're way off. And what I'm looking for is inconsistencies. And I'm known to be uneven Steven. And right now I'm finding an inconsistency where this side is slightly longer, and I'm going to look for it, and there it is. So I found it, and trust me, what you want to do is you want to go back. You want to find those inconsistencies, because guess what? If you don't find them, your client is walking out with it on their head. So you don't want that. You want the haircut to be perfect. So here I am, going back in, cross-checking, double-checking. Don't be afraid to do this. So now we have to connect this into this, and we're halfway home. All right, we're halfway home. There we go, combing that hair out of the way. I'm gonna comb this straight up, and what's gonna happen is you're gonna be like, whoa, that's a lot of hair. Well, guess what? It's gotta come off. It's gotta come off to create this look. So I'm combing this straight up, and this is what I call the connection phase. This is the connection phase of the haircut, to where we are blending the back into the top. We are making friends here, saying hello to our neighbors, and now we're going this way. Once we have that established, right, Then we can work horizontally and work forward. What I've seen a lot of people do is that first cut going from the back to the front, they cut it straight across. That actually creates a line. You don't want that. The best way to connect this way first is by cutting it vertically, so you're really following the head shape. Then once that is done, you can leave the pass behind and time to move forward, right? Now we're gonna comb it straight up. There is our guide, and we're gonna cut straight across, because this is now part of the future, right? It's something that we are moving forward with. We don't need to connect the back into the top anymore. Now we're already long gone. We're into the top already. And it's time to just comb it straight up and cut horizontally. Now the key to this is what's going to happen as you get to the front and see all these longer hairs. These are part of the corner. So I am going to get to those. But what's going to happen here is you're going to get to the front part, right in the very, very front, and you're going to get less and less hair that needs to be cut. So here I am combing everything straight up this way, up and out, because the hair doesn't grow straight up, it grows out from the head. It doesn't grow up from the head. So what I've done is I've worked that shape in. Now it's time to cut the corners. But keep in mind, we're cutting the corners while we're maintaining the length, right? We're maintaining the length. So what I'm doing is I'm bringing and extending my arms, my fingers going upwards. See, I'm doing that rotation movement again, because this is protecting all of that length. So here we go, right in the very, very front. We're going to comb it, rotate, and now the corners are done. So let's do the very, very, very sides here. Now, remember, what is this? This is our foundation. We're cutting off what doesn't need to be there, which is laying on top of the foundation. All right? That's what's, again, as I'm cutting this, I'm seeing it myself. You know, and I've been doing this for such a long time that you're seeing it. You're seeing the part that is already cut for you, which is the bottom. What we're doing is, again, removing that excess hair or that excess weight that shouldn't be weighing it down, right? This is the area that weighs down the haircut, okay? And now what's happening is we're getting a nice feathered type of look. Now what I like to do on these is I will go in diagonally, right? I'm going to go in diagonally now, and I'm going to cross-check, and I'm also going to layer it. Because for me, for some reason, going in diagonally this way, it creates that flow. And because most of these haircuts, these 80s haircuts and feathered haircuts, doesn't mean that, let me just set something straight here. Just because I'm saying this is an 80s haircut doesn't mean that you have to be in the 1980s to wear this. You can wear this. Obviously, you know, it's 2021, so you can wear it. Doesn't mean that you're stuck in the 80s, but it's a very, very classic look that you may want to wear in this time, right? This day and age. And there's nothing wrong with that, so go for it. Nothing wrong with it. Really what I'm doing is I'm working in that flow. I'm really making sure that all of this is going to look good. It's going to connect. It's going to flow. It's going to blend, you know. And we still have one more side to do. Don't forget, we still have one more side to do. I don't know if I can do the same thing on the other side, but we will sure try. So now, there we go, right down the middle. I'm standing, literally standing. If you're a stylist or barber and this is the client, you're standing right next to them this way. You're spinning the chair around, and that's how you're getting to this body position. I am not going to come over the top like I see a lot of stylists do and hurt their backs. I'm not going to do that because I've seen it and I've done it and it's not pleasant. So I decide to work better, like I mentioned before. All right, corners are done. Now let's go with the sides here. Again, there's the foundation. We're combing everything to that point. There it is at the bottom. Removing the excess hair that should not be weighing the whole haircut down. And we are getting closer and closer to being finished with this haircut. And so here's the thing. If you are a client that's getting this haircut, you're not going to really care about a lot of this stuff. I mean, like, it's important to know or understand what's happening, but if you're the person you're going to is not this thorough, they're not this, you know, not to say I'm like the most skilled in the world, but I'm saying if they're not, you know, as thorough as I am, there's a few things you have to consider. One, there's different skill levels with hair cutting, right? Not everyone, you know, is going to be the best. And the second thing is they may not be used to doing this type of work, which may not be their fault. You know, you may have to find someone who specializes in these types of looks. Somebody who really understands hair and the flow and, you know, creating layers and shapes and stuff like that. And it's really important to do that because it's your hair. And I get a lot of comments and people complaining, oh, my stylist can't do this, my stylist doesn't know that, my barber this, my barber that. I'm like, well, I can't control how they cut hair. Hate to say it. All right, so now what I'm doing is I am going in vertically, and I'm now really connecting all of this to make sure that there's no added weight. And as you can see, look how low I am. I'm like pulling this out this way. All right, I'm pulling the hair all out this way. And you would think, wait, that makes no sense. But keep in mind, the hair is laying on top of this length. This is what is going to be, you know, laying down in the person's face or on the forehead or whatever. And if it's not balanced properly, it's not going to look right. So what I like to do is I like to go in towards the end and just hold the hair up vertically and cross-check it and make sure that everything is just balanced and even. And this is where you want to be an even Steven, right? You want to be an even Steven and make sure everything is flowing and connected. Now what I'm going to do, I'm going to put my scissors down and I am going to start cross-checking this with my hands. So let's rake this all back. All right, let's rake this all back. Where are we going over here? Here we go. Let's find that center part and start to see, right? See how the feathering is coming in now? Now it may be a little bit longer to start, but as you layer it and as you work the product, your hands through, and it then softens up and jumps up a bit, okay? And what I'm looking for is this. I'm looking for this movement in through here. I'm looking for that fullness. I'm looking for that flow. And now we're good to go. If you want to use a product to style this, I would suggest Tidal Wave, which is my the sea salt volumizing spray. It's literally incredible for something like this because you want to get a little volume, you want to have a little texture in the hair, and this is an amazing product for that. Just make sure you're getting a little on the root there, and then one overall spray throughout the entire thing, and work it through with your hands. All you have to do is spray it and work it through, and you're good to go. Then it's time to blow dry. So let's get the blow dryer. All right, here is the blow dryer. And what you want to do, I'll just lower down the I'll lower down the speed right here. What you want to do is you really want to blow dry the hair down this way, right? And then go back. The fingers, your fingers are probably going to be the best tool for this type of look, and you want to lift. A lot of this is lifting from the root. See how I'm going in and lifting out? A lot of these haircuts are lifted out from the root area to get a lot of volume in through here. And that's the whole key to a lot of these 80s retro type of haircuts. We're dealing with a lot of volume. So everything is like that, see? Lift it right out from the root area. I'm not even using a brush. Can you use a brush? Yeah, sure. You don't have to. You know, and then towards the front, it really depends on the type of look you want. You know, do you want to have, you know, some fringe or some bangs coming down? Then, you know, what I would do is I would just make sure you blow dry this all forward this way, in case, right? In case you want some fringe there. Same thing on the other side here. We're going to lift, and literally I'm just using my fingers. Now, what you don't want to do is put your fingers in and sit there with the blow dryer like this, because you'll burn your fingers. you want to keep the nozzle pointed. See how the nozzle is just being pointed right in that direction? But I'm lifting and doing all the work with my fingers. I mean, literally, I haven't moved the blow dryer. It's all throughout the fingers and the styling. So let's blow this side down here. Let's get a little lift on top. Now this, what hair type does this work for? Clearly this is not going to work for somebody who's got, you know, super kinky, frizzy, dry. I mean, this always works best on somebody who's got great hair. Straight hair, medium density, thick density, fine hair. I mean, this haircut works, right? The haircut itself works, but what doesn't always work is, you know, the texture, right? The texture of the hair. That's what may be an issue at times. All right, so the blow dry is complete. And here is where, you see how we made it nice? We made it very, very full. Here's where we go in and kind of tame it down a little bit, right? Tame it down a little bit, run the fingers through it, soften it up so it's not so heavy, right? And that's what's going to keep the look going a little bit. If you want that volume throughout the base here, then you can just lift it out this way. You can lift all that hair to get that movement in through there. But you know, again, with the fringe area, you can open, have it off the face this way, right? Depends on what you want to do. You can have it off the face, so it's like that, or you have a couple of pieces coming down this way, right? And it feathers back. Again, it really depends on you, but the key is that we've got some fullness in through here. Let's get a little bit closer so you guys can really see what we got going on in through here. So I'm just gonna, there we go, it's a good spot right there. As I rake my fingers, okay, watch this. All that, you see that? Those are all layers. The entire haircut is layered. And we've got all that movement in throughout here. And it all starts from here and works all the way back. You know, I get a lot of people saying, hey man, you know, my person couldn't do it, or they cut too much, or they don't know what the hell they're doing. Guess what? There are people out there who know how to cut hair. Excuse me. There are people, allergies. The allergies here are just horrible. It's so dry. But there are people out there that know how to cut hair. There's no denying that. Not saying everyone's the best, not saying everyone's the worst, but you really got to find somebody who understands this. I mean, you know, it's like going to a restaurant that's got super high ratings, you know, 5 stars compared to like 1 or 2 stars. You know what I mean? So as far as the techniques, the technique is important, right? Understanding the shape is important. The overall finished, you know, outlook is important. And really, that's what it comes down to. This video, again, was a step-by-step haircut. I would really love to know in the comments what you guys thought about this. You know, I really love doing these step-by-steps. Do you like these in-depth step-by-step tutorials? Let me know. And also, I have to tell you all, I'm actually mad at all of you. I'm mad at all of you because you keep using my discount code YouTube20. Stop using it. I'm giving 20% off all these orders. Stop, please. But anyway, seriously, I'm offering this to my YouTube viewers. The code's YouTube20, YouTube20. Tidal Wave is probably the best product for this. Also, I forgot to mention, if you are a hairspray guy, right, or a hairspray person, doesn't matter, Locked is a great hairspray for this because it's very light. It's like a light to barely medium hold, and it's a very matte finish. There's no shine in this whatsoever. So it's really designed for just adding that nice little kind of light, subtle texture to the hair, right? You just want something to hold it in a little bit. This is great. Really, really good. So YouTube20, thanks for watching, and I'll see you soon.